And another interesting area linked to this was Google released a paper recently where they're trialing large language models for text consultations between doctors and patients. And I think text and email, written consultations basically between doctors and patients. And what they found in the early research is that patients rate the AI as more empathetic than a doctor. Now, the reason that is probably because if you think you're a doctor in a surgery and you're having to respond in between appointments to somebody, you're quite short on time, right? And you've got to type and you know, probably not a typist, as it were. So the niceties maybe go out of that, whereas a large language model, just naturally you can configure the tone of voice and it adds all of the niceties in. So it feels much more like a conversation. So really interesting in those areas. Yeah, it is. Of course, very little room for error in medicine. Yeah, but
it's a tight use case.
Very, very interesting, yeah.
But the healthcare is a fascinating thing. That reminds me of something else I thought was interesting, adjacent to that in education, which is Arizona State University have done the first large university in the States partnership with OpenAI to get all of their faculty and all of their students on OpenAI Enterprise.
Wow.
That's a big move. That's ballsy, right? Obviously for OpenAI, brilliant. Imagine the training data out of that proprietary data set with a massive discount on, I think it was calculated out to 147,000 people, $50 a pop for enterprise, about $100 million a year. So big money. And you can imagine where OpenAI plus, if it works with Arizona State, I'll call them named university, very good university in America. That's brilliant. Personalized tutoring, communications, all of the research data that can be pulled back in because it's being asked questions and so on, using some of the Scholar and archive and research papers we mentioned before. That's a big, it's gone under the radar actually. That's a massive move.
Yeah. So do you think that's the start of education changing? You know, like, because I guess
I do.
They're going to have to rethink the whole way they deliver education if they're doing that. It's not just an add-on, is it? No. To what's happening there.
It's the first part. I mean, we won't be far away from the AI university. I don't mean Udemy and course. I mean actually a campus set up with legacy and so on that has adjunct or whatever professors, but the majority of the kind of staff are not human. They're AI. Yeah. I think it could be well going that way. It'd be very interesting to see, but it's a big move. Yeah. Now, it may be heavily discounted, but I think that's direction of travel, whatever happens. Yeah. I think that's a fascinating
there's lots of online courses now, right, where you're in effect virtually there. You can learn anything you want. I mean, I do think
a Stanford one a few months ago was the beginning, but this is a big one for me because it's everyone. Yeah, 144,000 people in total. Yeah, that's big news.
Well, I think the first step on the road here, which there was a lady I saw on the BBC News who was very eloquent in articulating this, which was, the education system with tools like AI really needs to change its thinking in terms of how it approaches this stuff. And we've seen this before, we've spoken about this before, but, there are examples whereby instead of trying to block it in a class and not have people write their essays using, ChatGPT, some forward-thinking departments and teachers have said, okay, well, what we're going to do is we're going to use GPT or another AI model to write the essay, and you're all going to get the same essay, and you need to take that home and find out where it hasn't got it right, or find out where you'd improve it, or look up the sources of where it's got this stuff from.
Lean into it.
So really interesting thinking in terms of turning that on its head, a little bit like the pocket calculator was to maths. A lot of chat back in the day that was going to destroy maths and thinking and education and everything else, and it didn't. It took us further down the road, right? But we changed the way we learn in terms of the tools we had. So really interesting, but big move for Arizona.
Absolutely. Yeah. Be interesting to watch.